Chiefs have a new piece, a returning piece, and one piece that they're not going to get back, it doesn't look like. But we have plenty to talk about, and we're going to answer your questions here on the Q&A on RGR Football. Welcome back, friends and neighbors, football fans of all kinds and sources. We are going to get into it tonight. This is going to be a fun one. The Chiefs did sign a big piece, brought in a new player in Jarran Reed. And if you didn't see my little video this morning, I did a quick update this morning just to get a first take in there. And I'm sure we'll go over it here tonight. Couple of announcements before we get ripping. Looks like Dan will be able to make it later, so I got the headphones on. If you're new, make sure you hit the like and the sub and the bell notification because we got a lot going on and you want to know about it. Usually this show goes an hour on Monday nights. I have a family thing coming up, and I'm not going to be able to do the whole hour, likely somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes. We'll see what happens. And I want to know from you guys in the chat and in your regular comments on replay as well, because I think going forward, because of this situation, I'll probably have to move this show up an hour to 6 Central, 5 my time. So let me know how that sits with all of you. It'll be the same show, just a little bit earlier, and more likely to be tea than beer at that point. So the Jarran Reed thing this morning, I thought that was a good signing. I think it's not terribly expensive. I think it helps. And Chris is on the thumbnail for this video because I think it helps Chris Jones a lot. And it's not to slight Derek Nottie. Derek Nottie's a very, very, very good run defender, and I like his game a lot. I think playing with Mike Pennell has helped him, and now I think he's in the role where he's going to be the guy that helps Mike or helps Jarran Reed. I expect that Reed will likely win the job as the starter. That's not really a stretch of any means. But now, when it is a dedicated rundown, now you got Nottie who can come in and be the Mike Pennell. And I think that's going to help. I think it actually reduces the wear and tear on Nottie as well. So I like that. The bigger question with Turk in-house is going to be, how much does Colin Saunders play? Does he maintain his role on the defensive line? I know a lot of teasing aside, folks do ask about him moving to fullback. I don't think that that's a full-time thing, although we saw him play linebacker pretty nimbly last year, so you never quite know. Then today we found out, not to move on too sharply, but today we found out Tajay Sharp's going to come back on a 1 year, and that's perfectly normal. Ended on the practice squad, but he has NFL snaps. I think that's important. I think that's going to help as we go forward. We're going to get to the super chatters here in just a minute, and I know there's going to be a ton of you. Folks, if you do want to super chat and support the channel, please do. But no matter what dollar amount you choose to support us with, make sure you leave a question so that I can get you something for it. A lot of the regulars are in here. Our Fearless Mod is in here. Aaron Morrow, give him a hand. Dan will join me later. I'm sure Danilo will get in here if there's a chance. I think Jeff's actually working on stats, so he may not be in the chat. But Jeff Porter is also intricate to what we do at Rogue Analytics as well. He helps me out a ton. As we go forward, we'll get into that as well. One side note, I'm sure we'll bring it up, but we did find out today, too, that it looks like New Orleans is going to give Tano Passanio a contract. And so that does dip into the depth. I had thought that he was likely to return. It looks like he's going to get a bigger opportunity and probably a little bit more money to go. And I think that's good for him. I said it on the podcast today. Locked On Chiefs is out by now, so you can give that a listen to. Chris and I went over the wide receivers in this draft class, whether there's a trade up and that kind of thing. So don't miss Locked On Chiefs. If you're not subbed already, go grab that. And what I said there was it's an opportunity for Tano, I think, to get more playing time and, quite frankly, play in a fresh system with a fresh point of view. And I think that might really help him boost his development. I felt like he took a couple of steps forward after Steve Spagnuolo came to town. And it's not quite over the hill enough in terms of pass rush specifically. Maybe somebody else and a new coaching staff can grind that last 10% out of him, and he may be a force eventually. So more power to him, and I wish him well on his way. Let's see, a lot of questions here. I'm going to jump into Jake with the first super chat, and we'll go down from there. Hopefully that doesn't put me too far behind, but I'll try. Jake, thank you for the super chats. sir. I appreciate it. As always, Jake's a member too. No member stream or anything live this week, you guys. In fact, depending on what happens tonight, we may have to delay the member video till later in the week as well. But usually Tuesday is member day, either a stream or a Zoom call if you're one of the upper tiers. We'll get back to that as we always do. But Jake asks, let me get a Roll Tide for Jerron Reed. There you go. I'm sure Gooch, when he arrives, will be screaming that from the rooftops as well. Do you expect his arrival to influence Snead and Matthews' productions with his presence? I think it can. He's had what was the stat? 19 sacks in the last 3 seasons. That's pretty good. That's more production than Nadi and Pennell. Obviously, it's not Chris, but it would have been good for second behind Chris last year in this Chiefs front. And if you combine that, and now you can't slide the whole offensive line towards Frank, now all of a sudden you have a lot more opportunity for Drawn to take advantage if he gets singled up, Frank to take advantage if he gets singled up. I don't expect anybody to single up Chris Jones, but it is what it is. And here's the other interesting thing is you can put Jones out at end some. We've liked that in the past. Dan and I certainly have. I think Seth and I theorized that could be a good thing as well. Not full time, because when it's, especially when it's long situations, when you expect like a 5 and 7 step drop, you want somebody that's a little faster around the edge, because he's more than likely going to have farther to go. Whereas Chris is great in short area, right in the burst inside. And him and Jerron inside with another dedicated outside pass rusher, I think is going to be great. So, but all of that is, I think it's going to speed things along. I think you're going to see teams throw with tempo. And I think that does help L'Jarius and Matthew in terms of not having to track guys all over the field because there's no pass rush. So I do think the speed of the ball delivery is going to be a factor that will help them. But they might have more help back there as well. We'll see what happens in the draft. I don't know about adding DBs of any major impact here in free agency of what's left. But I do like a couple of guys. You guys have heard me talk to them. And hey, lo and behold, Daniel Jeremiah came around on my guy Molden and and started putting him in his top 50. And I know a lot of you argued with me when I took Molden last week. I've been high on him because of his versatility and the fact that he can play nickel or go do the robber thing with Tyron. I think the more you guys see him, the more you're going to like him. So thanks for that one, Jake. Appreciate it. And DTKC, thank you for your super chat. Appreciate it. What left tackles are left that the Chiefs are interested in, whether signing one from free agency or drafting one? I think they're definitely going to try to do both. I put Villanueva on this thumbnail for tonight because I think he's the best outstanding still, and he hasn't signed. In fact, there was a piece that got done by, I think it was my buddy Chris Carter out in Pittsburgh, used to host Locked On NFL with him. Check him out as well. It's Carter Critiques on Twitter. He put out a piece that it looks like the market for the dollars for Alejandro Villanueva are not there anymore. So if that dries up, then I think the Chiefs can sweep in and get what is a good deal for them and still give him enough contract to jump at. I do think right now he's probably the best out there. Whether they feel that that's good enough is the question mark. And if so, I do think that they want to have a veteran and draft a guy and then let them battle it out. If you pay Villanueva $5 or $6 million this year and he doesn't end up starting the whole year because the rookie catches up to him, I'm perfectly fine with that. And I think the team will be too. So that's kind of where they're at this point. Gary, how are you? Should the Chiefs go after a free agent like Brian Poole, the CB, or Reuben Foster? I'm totally out on Reuben Foster. He hurt his knee 2 years ago, hasn't played that long, and was pain in the neck before that. So no, there's absolutely no reason to bring him into this locker room, in my opinion. The Chiefs will take some chances that I probably won't. So maybe they do, but I don't get the feeling. I think I probably would have heard something about that by now. Mike Daniel, Tajay is back. Seems to have all the tools. Just has never been put all together. And that very well could be. We're going to have to see how it comes along. Thanks, Aaron. If you'd all hit the like, that's great. And for those of you that aren't subbed, welcome. Hit that sub button too. Drew Stevens, do you watch Casey Chiefs Report channel with Harrison Graham? I feel like you guys have taken shots at each other before. No, I don't watch them. I have a history with Chat Sports. There's nothing against Harrison is his name, doing the Chiefs channel there. Nothing against him personally at all. Chat Sports in the past has been a pain. And I do find that it's interesting that it's a lot of hype over there. And I try to cut all that out. There's room for that. There's room for whatever Chiefs programming you guys want to watch. You guys are the ultimate deciders. And so is every fan base for every team. I do the rumors because I think there's a lot of videos put out, not just by them, but by others as well, that kind of just ride totally made up things. Like, it's not really a rumor if three fans are talking about it. It's only a rumor if you're hearing somewhere from the league that it's actually a possible reality. And so that's why I draw the distinction, Drew. If that offends you, I apologize, but not aimed at you or at Harrison in particular. So yeah, it's just the business model over there. Let's see. Aaron, got you. Justin Jurgens, thank you very much. Rank college Eric Fisher to this draft class. Ooh, that's a good one. I'll tell you the guys that he reminds me of the most. And again, I didn't get to scout Eric Fisher very well. I was just getting started into doing film review at the time, and he was at Central Michigan. Was not high on my radar. I think I ended up seeing one game, and it was after the draft. So there might be a little bit of bias built in there, especially back then. This is like, what, 13 or 11, or when was that? I don't even remember. But I will say this. He reminds me of Radens. Really, really athletic, little underpowered in terms of like overall functional strength, and a little bit light. I think Eric Fisher really grew into where he is. And I think, honestly, I think Radens is at least a second round pick, if not a little bit lower. I don't think he's a first rounder. If some team takes a chance on him at that in the first round, more power to him. But if he goes in the second, like, you could see a team taking him and actually seeing the comp to Fisher as a guy that needs a year or two to get stronger. Eric had the shoulder injury and that kind of thing. Like, I do see that there's some similarities there. There are some other guys that are going to get the comparison too, but that's the one that stands out to me, Justin. Great question. Thank you. Could Turk possibly move to DE? Justin, I actually do think that is a possibility. I do think that he has the first step to take the speed around the corner. I just don't know if it's enough to defeat the tackles that he needs to defeat. So there is some question there, but I would certainly try it. And I like that concept because if you're talking about rotating inside Chris, Sharon, Noddy, and Saunders, I like that foursome. And then if he's out there as well, the only question is, like, this is a team that needs more pass rush, and it needs it now. And that's why Melvin Ingram was in for a visit. It's interesting that Melvin hasn't signed anywhere either. So maybe he's pushing a tough bargain and he will eventually come off of that. I don't know. But I think an established outside pass rusher is important for this team to help develop the guys underneath, whether it's Turk or Mike Dana or who else might be there. I think Taco definitely needs to be a fill-in. I don't think Taco can be a starter at 3-down guy and play 90% of the snaps, but I think he is a designated pass rusher. Hopefully he can stay healthy and take a step forward. That's kind of where I'm at. Great point, though. Let's see. Stevie said, should set a goal of a number of likes and give out a free Matrix guide. Yeah, I can easily do that. And right now, for all of you guys, since you're here, all the athletic Matrix from years past, including the draft guides, which the Matrix is this, the draft guide is this in terms of time input and analysis, right? They're all 50% off for you guys. Just go to rogueapc.com. and use there's a checkout code, RGR50. You get half off everything. So thanks for reminding me of that, Stevie. And definitely I will. I mean, if we hit, let's see, what's our normals around 300? If we hit 400, I will definitely give out a free draft guide. And that'll be fun. Sorry, Jeff, I'm giving away some of your work. You may have answered this prior, but with Tooney and LDT, who switched to being a right guard? LDT has been a right guard. Tooney has been a left guard so far in his career. So I want to say that LDT played right tackle in college in McGill. I cannot recall that. Don't quote me on that one because I'm not 100% on it. Let's see. Jeff did make it. How are you, Jeff? Is the leading tackler from last year on a 4-3 defense too valuable to let go? Or is the leading tackler more of a function of the scheme in the player's position? For example, Sorensen. I think, honestly, if your safety is your leading tackler, that's generally evidence of a deficiency at the linebacker level. That's just the way that it works. If you have solid coverage and you have solid gap control up front, your linebackers should be making all the tackles that aren't deep passes to the wide receiver. Anything with the tight ends, I mean, unless you're playing Kittle or one of the elite tight ends, your linebackers should be making those tackles as well. So at that point, it shows you that I don't think the linebacker itself, it's not the number of tackles, it's the way that the scheme is addressing who's in there. The Chiefs are a little bit of an exception, though, and I think you are talking about the Chiefs now that you bring up Sorensen, because they run so much 3 safety, and so that does shift it. So, I mean, you can think of Dan as the second linebacker, so that certainly makes sense to me as well. It's a very good point, Jeff. Thank you. Looks like, yep, Dan's here. I'm going to let him in a second, you guys, and we will answer your question. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, everybody? How's your guys' Monday?
It's one of those days. So I let everybody know that I got a family thing, so we're going to go about 45 at the most, and so we're just going to crush through here.
Yeah.
See what so first one to you, since you just joined. Now that Veach signed Jaron Reed to a sweetheart deal, can we end the Veach can't sign anyone stuff?
You know, this never was really about who Veach can or can't sign, because like I've talked about as free as you started, you can't change what a player wants to do. If they're going to leverage your offer into something else, that's what they're going to do. And I don't know if any of you guys saw what Nate Taylor wrote today about the free agent start market. They've been in on guys like we talked about that no one has heard anything about. They've been trying to get a bunch of different free agents, but you want opportunity. For example, Corey Davis is a guy that they were also in on. He got money and opportunity in New York. So you can't really offset some of the things that you want to do by just by saying, you know, we're going to give you this money and we're going to be a Super Bowl contender. Some people don't necessarily care always about that. They care about opportunities. So, I mean, they will play for the New York Jets or they go play for the Saints.
There's always a question why you go play for the Jets, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I think that is part of it.
There's nothing much you can do about what a player and end up wanting to do. And they've been in on a ton, so it doesn't bother me so much.
Okay, good. Michael, Jeremiah has good minors in the top 50. Thoughts on him moving up? I think that's still a little bit rich because we got to remember the level of competition is not there. I love the kid, but he's a third rounder to me.
Yeah, I go top 100 pick definitely, but you don't really know, and they're not going to know until he gets into the NFL. And I fully believe he's got everything to be a top 50 player in this draft at the end of it all, but we won't know until it happens.
Well, and also this too, if there's anybody who's going to be like an explosive, way better than I ever thought he would, I'm glad it's a center.
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be so great.
Interesting, Ian. I think it helps Jones more myself. What do you think, Dan?
Well, it's gonna allow. I think it's gonna allow Jones to play more defensive end, which he has openly wanted to. I also think it's gonna keep him a bit fresher throughout the entire season. So I would agree with that. I do think it's going to help Clark in terms of production level. They know each other very well, and I imagine they're going to line up on the same side, and maybe they're going to do a bunch of different crazy stuff with them on passing situations. So I'm excited to see what they end up doing there.
And if they do add another outside pass rusher, I love the idea of Reed and Chris inside together.
Yeah, I do too.
Blow everybody up. I mean, you got to force a double out of the two of them. No way around.
You have to.
It is what it is, dude. What does this do to Wharton's development? I think it either allows him to move out to end, which I think he should do, in my opinion, but it also allows him to get another perspective from another veteran that's been successful in the league. So, I mean, I don't think it does anything but help him.
Yeah, that's what it's going to do. And this is a 1-year deal. I don't expect this to turn into a multi-year deal. So you figure Wharton comes in, in 2020 being better because of this situation.
Interesting, Frederick. And I appreciate the super chat. Who's the most overrated player on the Chiefs roster?
That's interesting.
It is. And
it's a very interesting question.
It's a tough one, and it depends on your point of view. Like, are you talking about like Chiefs Kingdom overhypes them, or there's more, hope for them? One of them I feel would be Ward. Because I do feel like I have said for years that he is a solid number 2 corner. I don't think he's ever been a CB1. And a lot of folks feel like he should be, and the rubber's going to hit the road this year.
Yeah, I think that's really the answer, especially if we're talking about the way that the Chiefs fans view them. And I get quite a bit of hate too, because I after his first full season, I thought there was something you could find in Ward if you allow him to do what he does best. And for the most part, they don't really allow him to do what he does best. So you take that away from him, and in this defense, he's like a CB3. He's not much more than that, because he's continuously being beaten because they're not allowing him to be up in a receiver's face and letting him do what he does best.
And what you mean by that is getting his hands on him, pressing literally.
He needs to be within the first, 1 yard away from the guy and being able to jam him at the line of scrimmage. That's what he is good at. That's what he does best.
Yeah.
And they're not really letting him do it.
Fair enough. Let's see. One guy who's overrated in the league. I mean, I don't.
I think I know where you're going.
Start. I don't think I'm gonna. You go ahead, and I'll get this next question.
Let's see. Overrated. That's a tough. That in the entire league. That's a real tough question there. I personally think it's Ezekiel Elliott. I have never been a hugely big fan. I think a lot of what he does comes from a really, really good offensive line in front of him. And as it deteriorated, I think we saw exactly what he was. That's my own personal opinion.
I think Garoppolo is one of mine, but it is what it is.
I don't think he's ever been very good though. So I don't think that anyone else has ever thought he was that good.
It seems like there's a lot of hope out there, and I just don't get it. But hey, it's me. Jeff asked, based on the surprise last year drafting a running back at 32, isn't it true that we really don't know what position, let alone what player they will take at 31? Absolutely. This is all educated guessing. We don't know anything. I heard. Go ahead.
So for the most part, I agree with you, but I also think that we are kind of learning a little bit from the sins of taking a running back at 32 last year. There are some legitimate holes in the roster, and if you're not going to attempt to fill a real true need on the roster at a position of value in a first round, you're going to start seeing some of the the problems that end up ensuing in that. So I think wide receiver, offensive tackle are prime positions to be taken in the first round this year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think Jody can compete for the roster. I'm really interested to see if it's at tight end. And if it is, this is his last chance.
Yeah, it is.
I'm pulling for the guy.
Yeah, me too.
Troop in the 4th. That's early for me.
I was about to say, make it in the 5th or 6th, and I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're eye to eye on that one. Let's see. Oh, and I scrolled too far. All right, super chatters, I'm gonna have to catch up with you. Look, Daryl made it. Nice to see you.
What's going on?
DT, throw your Facebook page in there if you like, man. Folks will see it no matter what. Okay,
very true.
Let's see. Oh, wait, hold on. Another one from Jeff I missed. Why is the mainstream media so wrong on the summary of why we released Schwartz and Fisher? Real simply, they're not paying any attention.
Well, that's kind of like the whole point. Like, they're big mainstream media. They don't pay attention to one single anything outside of Patrick Mahomes, like big things. That they don't know the inner workings of everything. Yeah. And that's just kind of how it's always going to be.
Michael, no, not a late round pick. I think he'll be a UDFA, and I'd love to see him come to Kansas City.
It'd be so fun. The guy is something else.
You put him and Tremble in there, and all of a sudden you have 2 extra like blocking tight ends that you don't have to call tight ends.
Nope.
Everyone will love it. Let's see. Okay, got Daryl's. Thank you, Daryl, as always. And hi. Rocky Shack is Niang. Thought Niang was a right tackle. Yes, he is a right tackle. He's only played right tackle. Rocky, you have a very good point. Thank you for the super chat. I don't anticipate him moving. Is that always a possibility? Yes, it's always a possibility. I hear people tell me, hey, well, he did that PFN series with his high school conditioning coach where he was doing left-handed drops. Good for him. Be ambidextrous. Yeah. That doesn't mean Andy Heck is going to say, hey, you look great. Go over to left.
The only thing I could see is that, like, if they came to him before the season was, like, right as the season was ending, and they knew what they were going to end up doing, depending on the Eric Fisher injury, and they're like, look, practice all off season, and we'll see how you look in training camp. If not, we'll keep you at right. That's the only thing I could see, because it's going to take you a full off season to actually get comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, and even then, there are people that say, yeah, I could do it, but I'm not as good. That's the problem.
Like it was a quote I heard from one of great offensive lineman coaches. I think it was Howard Mudd or something like that. Said, "Yeah, you can play a different position, but it'll look clumsy or something like that. Like I'm not going to be the top of what I could be. Like I can do it in a pinch, but like I'm not going to be what I will be here, like a right tackle, for example. So it's not going to be what it was. And I think you kind of saw that with Remmers. Like he was playing above his level of play at right tackle last year. So if you figure you take it back to average for right tackle, move him at left, and then we really see the issues.
Yeah. Thank you, Rocky. Appreciate it. I know you have a couple more in here. We'll get to him here shortly. Vera Tucker's arm measurement, I did not see that come in at 32. Was it?
Yes, it was very short.
Well, now you understand why he plays better at guard. He can play tackle. It's about getting hands off of you when your arms are that short. You can't let somebody get to your chest. But that's why he's better at guard. All his grades show it. So
it's very unfortunate. I was very upset to see that.
Yeah, I got to say, I like his game too. Metal Rocker, how are you? Mate, good to see you. If they can't get Cox or Collins, do they go D, tackle, edge? In the second round, in round one, they're not. No, I don't think that unless and I don't think Jenkins is a priority, but I do think if Cosme or Eichenberg, one of them should be there at 31. And if they're both not, I'm not sure that they go for the linebacker anyway. I would think that they go likely corner is the next deepest group would be my guess, but we'll see. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think that defensive tackle anymore is a priority. I've been very adamant that I don't think defensive end is going to be a priority until day 3. And I think wide receiver and offensive line are my 2 spots. And I would throw in corner, especially if a guy like Newsome is there. I think Greg Newsome would be perfect in this defense.
I'm glad you're coming around on him. I like that kid. And I will say this too. I'm actually coming up on Terrace Marshall, the other receiver from LSU. Who might be an option there as well. Let's see. I think Saunders, especially if they give Wharton snaps at end, I think that helps Saunders. And quite frankly, I think this is a redemption year for Saunders to get back in the rotation.
Yeah, it kind of has to be because, again, we're talking about a top 100 pick that didn't play most of last year, was inactive, not because he couldn't play. So that's not what you want to see.
Yeah. Melvin Ingram is always a possibility. I think the fact that he hasn't signed tells you that he is demanding a lot of money that most teams don't feel that he's worth. So that's what it is. Oregon Fishing, same question. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was going to say he's going over everything right now. He hasn't visited anywhere else. He's got offers, so he's just kind of doing what he's doing, and he's going to make a decision based off of, I guess, if someone comes out of the woodwork or whatever he feels is best.
Yeah. Rocky, good question. I have 2 actually. I think Caden Stearns is going to be a natural third day guy. And I like his game. He's tested very well. He's the athlete beyond what Dan is. Yeah. And the guy that I'm really, really high on is Israel Mukwamu. Yeah, that's as good as I could pronounce it. Sorry, Israel, if you happen to see this, I apologize in advance. But he is a cover 3 corner. Was it South Carolina? It wasn't South Carolina. It was, I can't remember where. But he can move to safety. He's 6'4", 205. Like he can move.
6'4". That's interesting.
Yeah. And he gets beat up in man because he's not a natural corner. He plays great in zone and he comes up with some big plays. Really, really raw guy, but I think he could be in the perfect position change guy to safety.
Cool. Can't wait to cross-check all that stuff.
Yeah, right. I hope that you agree. We'll see. Rocky's got another one. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the super chat. What happens to Colin with Reed in there? Sam, I like the idea that, I mean, the way he danced around last year, I would entertain it for a minute.
If he could drop 20 to 30 pounds, I think I would slot him in there right now. Like, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Well, quite honestly, he needs to drop 20 pounds from where he tried to play last year.
Yeah.
Because after that elbow injury, I think the barbecue got to him a little bit. And I think if he came off 20, I mean, he should be – Colin Saunders should be playing about 315, in my opinion. I don't think he was close to that last year.
Yeah, we won't know, but I agree with you on that.
And I think, I do think we'll notice. We should hear what he weighs in this year, and if we see the difference, I think it will help him and help his game. Marshall, thank you for the super chat. 3rd and 15, who are you deploying? Taco, Jones, Reed, Clark, or Jones, Reed, Noddy, Clark? I would definitely have Taco as long as he's healthy. The question is, will he be?
Well, yeah, but I don't want Noddy on the field in 3rd and 15 anyway. So I would switch out Reed, put Jones in there, and put Wharton in there instead, if that was an option. That would be, it'd be Jones, Reed, Wharton, Clark. I think that'd be good too.
Fair enough. Rick, thank you for your super chat. Do you think if the Chiefs had kept quiet about Rodney Hudson, the Raiders would not have traded him? No, I think that was bait the whole time. We're going to throw it. I mean, it's ridiculous to say we're going to release this guy and then hold him unless you're just trying to get value for it.
Well, the thing is, they were already suspecting before they pulled him back that he would 100% be in KC, not because the Chiefs had any interest, but because he wanted to go back to Kansas City. From what I understand, like that's what he wanted to do. He was very vocal, from what I understand about. Just he was like, "Yeah, I want to go back to Kansas City." And they're like, "Yeah, let's not do that and go trade you."
Yeah, Mayak hit the panic button there because, and that's exactly what I heard too. That it was he that wanted to return, and not so much because. I don't know the Chiefs were that interested. I think he actually has slowed down a little bit in his older age as well. I'm not sure that he's as nimble as they want him to be, but he's still the best in the league.
I don't think it matters that much. You can get at least 2 more years out of him, and they would be more than happy to take it, I think.
Good point, Stevie.
Hey,
Dan. Just getting shout outs. Thank you, Daryl. Sam, how are you? Thank you for the super chat. Do any of the wide receiver free agents interest you? Let me pull up Mike Clay's list because I don't remember who's out there.
Well, Tajay Sharp's back, so I mean, no.
Right.
I just
Now,
can't.
Mike,
I can't get through any of the free agent wide receivers. Really, I think that they're pretty much done there.
yeah, I mean, if you guys want some help, Mike Clay on Twitter has a great running. He updates it every week of who's available. Some of these guys have signed, including Humphreys, which I think could have been an interesting one.
That was something I was mulling over last week as well.
I had a soft spot for Farrah Cooper when he came out. He didn't develop, but maybe he could. He still is a good athlete. Same could go for Marquise Gooden too. So
that's true. I feel like right now Maurice French on the practice squad, it kind of gives you some speed element. He's a bigger body from my film work over his period at Pittsburgh. I think that he's got some things that they would like to use in this offense. So what they're really looking for, I think, is a guy who's going to come in and be a true X receiver, whether that's going to be in the first round, second round. I think they're going to draft someone that they think is going to be that true X guy.
Yeah. Bruce, thank you very much for the super chat. Veach tells you to move up in this year's draft to get a left tackle specifically. What deal you pulling off and who are you getting? If I have to go up, that means that I'm not going for Eichenberg and I'm not going for anyone outside of Slater, Sewell, or Darisaw, in my opinion. Tell me where I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. You're 100% correct. You're just not going to get Sewell. I don't think you're going to be able to get Slater unless he falls into 15. I think that's ideally the spot you can get to. Say a first-round pick. Next year's first-round pick gets you to about 16, 17. Let's just assume that's where it would get you. I think Darisaw will be there. Like that's what I think is going to happen, and I think that's where he's going to go, around the 15 to 20 area. That's what I think.
I hope that he lasts longer than that, longer than 15, that is. But I will tell you this: if they have to go up, they have to go up above 20, because if Darisaw gets to 21, the Colts will take him in a heartbeat. Oh yeah. And the problem is what we saw last week is you want to go up, it's costing first round picks, and I'm not one right now. With this class, as much as I like Darisaw for the class, I wouldn't put him above any of the top 3 from last year. So, like, for me, giving up additional first-round picks is not in my cards. I don't think that warrants it.
And I think that a guy like Eichenberg or Cosme can come in. Cosme a little more developmental, in my opinion. You're still going to have some warts in the first probably 8 games of the season, so you get a better left tackle for that nonsense. I think Eichenberg can come in and legitimately start right away. So I think if he's there at 31, you don't have to give up his first-round pick to go up. I think that's ideally what they'd like to do.
Well, and here's the other thing. Even beyond those guys, Hudson's a developmental guy that's got upside. Carmen's
Brady Christensen,
right? Absolutely. Like there are guys that you don't have to go trade that may give you 90% of Darisaw in a year. Who knows?
Way that I've been through the tackle class so far, I'm pretty much through my first page now. I'm actually thinking that they might go wide receiver in first round because there's so much depth at tackle, and not just like okay depth. Like these guys could legitimately turn into multiple, decades plus starters. They're just so good in terms of their athletic, their tools, everything they've got. So it's an interesting class in the fact that you can kind of get a starter on day 1 or day 2.
Absolutely. And I will tell you guys this. We'll run down all the tackles for you eventually. My only problem with Tevin Jenkins is I think he plays on the right and he plays on the right and he plays on the right. I don't think you can flip him over to left and expect a huge increase.
I disagree with that, but
played like one season, right? His freshman year, was it?
Yeah.
At left. So
yeah, I think so.
I'm not comfortable with that myself. Maybe you are. Maybe that's a great thing that we should just sit down and go through the tape and record it.
I just think that athletic guys like that, you can kind of teach a little bit more how to play one side versus the other.
Oh, and that's a fair argument for certain. Mayfield, I think, is a guard. I don't think he is a tackle.
Not after the film I watched.
Nope. And I know you like Spencer Brown now. I liked the concept of Walker Little. The reality is not going to work. So Bruce,
I just don't know. There's so much. I literally wrote it down. Like, I don't know. This is my toughest evaluation. I had to watch 2018 film. Like, I don't have anything. I got nothing.
Oh, we are falling grossly behind. All right.
Sorry.
All the super chatters, I'm going to get you, I promise. Starting with Brian. Sorry. Brad Case is a guy I went to college with. Sorry. There's just no way at this point the Chiefs can wait past the first round for a starting left tackle. Do you agree? I mean, if 8 were drafted ahead of them, then maybe you don't have a choice. I mean, you can't go against your board. I mean, if you're reaching 5 or 8 spots, like, because you think, there's more upside in here than, but I mean, if they're all wiped out, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, it's going to be based on who's there and their board. It's just going to match up with who they want and who they don't like. So that's all it's going to be.
I've seen Aaron say this twice, folks, so let's make sure that we're paying attention to the mod. He will crush all that come in front of him, so be nice. Adam, thank you for the super chat. Last time Jerron and Frank played together, they got 23.5 sacks. Over under for this year. You got Chris. He's going to eat some. I'm going to take the under.
He's talking about, I'm going to go ahead and say under as well, because I don't think they go anywhere near that, to be honest. They might get 20. They might get 20. They'd have to both get 10, really. So, I mean, that's all I got.
Okay. Aaron, I'm going to keep scrolling, but you let me know who did ask a few of them, and I will try to answer it once so that you don't have to do that anymore. Natalie, thank you for your super chat. As always, nice to see you. Another member. Glad you guys are here tonight. Any good linebackers fall to us in the first or second round? I am hearing more and more that both of my second round guys, Jabril Cox and Jamin Davis, are going to be in the 50s to 40s now.
Yeah.
This is a tier. I like both those guys, but I can't even justify, even if the Chiefs traded back like I think they should into the upper 30s or lower 40s. I still can't justify doing it because you got to address the tackle situation.
That's the point of this whole unfortunate problem with you cutting tackle, left tackle, right tackle. You're really kind of telling everyone that we need to address the tackle position in some way, shape, or form in the first 2 days.
And even beyond that, if you have 2 guys that grade out, one's a linebacker, one's a tackle, the tackle has priority because it is a positional value beyond the linebacker. It just is what it is. Oh, Natalie, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that's what I'm seeing. For me, it is hands down Jamin Davis. Browning, don't listen to TDN. He is not anywhere in the top 100 for me.
I like Browning.
And quiet.
I like Browning. I've watched some tape of his. He's very athletic. I think he's good in coverage. So we'll see.
Oh, we have to sit down and watch those tapes too, because I think he can play between the tackles going downhill. I don't think he can do much else.
We'll see. I at the Senior Bowl, I saw a different side of him. So
okay.
And that's something for me. I have a little bit more emphasis on Senior Bowl. They ask players to do something that their offense or their defense doesn't always ask of them. So when I can see something a little bit different at the Senior Bowl, I do take it with a grain of salt, and I kind of notch it away. Not like as a priority, but something that they can definitely do, I think.
Okay. Fair enough. And folks, this is why we have these discussions. This is why you get Dan's opinion and mine, because we won't always agree. I mean, there are some positions that we see pretty similarly, but there are several that we do not. And that's important because, I mean, for all intents and purposes, we could represent 2 teams because that's how different the evaluations become. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it that they trade down? I'm going to say 2.
I was about to say, I'm going to say about 3 or 4. It's not, I just don't think Brett Veach wants to trade down. Fight the urge to trade up.
Exactly. Let's see. We got a couple of minutes, folks, and I'm going to have to depart. So we're going to hit the super chats right after Scott's. Would you please tell him that he can put his hands on people? Yes. I know he wants to. Daryl, thank you for the super chat. Do you think that our D has improved with the pickups we've made so far? I can't say that myself.
It's hard. It's going to be pretty much what it was last year so far, I think.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you there. Okay, so from this point forward, Jim Talbot. I got to find Jim, see if I can put him on screen. Jim, I apologize if I cannot, and I cannot. But thank you for the super chat. I didn't see a question with it, so come back at me, and let's finish this up. Could we straight out the linebacker score with Zaven at Sam? Rocky, if they did take him, if he is the best on their board and they do end up taking him, that would be my expectation of where he starts out. And then eventually he will take over for, calling the defense, et cetera, et cetera.
That's just what he does.
Right. Daryl, thank you as always.
Thank you, Daryl.
Stack Bundles, thank you. Marshall, Dan, get this one. Do you feel that Reed brings enough versatility to Spags to call more stunts, him pulling around the edge and disguising the pass rush?
I mean, I think that Spags likes to do a lot of stunts anyway. That's kind of naturally inherent in his defense because he doesn't play a lot of defensive ends with speed. So you have to generate pass rush in different ways, and not all of your big defensive ends and tackles are going to have a ton of moves and counters. So that's one way you can manufacture pass rush, and that's why he uses stunts a lot more, and why they really brought in Daly, because he's very good at developing guys that don't have necessarily a ton of moves to get into those spots with their twists and their stunts and everything like that. So, yes, I think he definitely brings that element, but I also think that they desperately need speed somewhere, anywhere. Bring it in.
Caleb, thank you for the super chat. I assume you have something below. I will try to find it. But Dan, this is a great question from Joshua. Would you rather take OT 7 or wide receiver 4 CB4? And what's your order?
So that's at number 31. So you're saying offensive tackle 7's there, wide receiver 4, cornerback 4. That's interesting for me because ideally that means that tackles are going off the board, which means that priority for tackles is high. I'm not reaching for a first round tackle at 7, especially at the 7th rated offensive tackle on my board. I'm not doing that. So I'm going to take wide receiver 4 first. I'll take corner 4 next, and then I'll take tackle after that.
I am very much different. CB4, in my case, Greg Newsome, soon to be Caleb Farley if he falls any farther. He is heads and tails above both wide receiver 4 and OT tackle in terms of raw evaluation. So I will take him in a heartbeat. I like Terrace Marshall, but he has not leapfrogged the cognitive grade for Newsome for me yet.
That's all well and fine, but the Chiefs But Brett Veach has shown us he does not care about drafting corners in the first round. So
nope, he doesn't care about my opinion.
He doesn't care about what we say. Granted, Newsome would be so fun in this defense.
I think so. Do you think Hardman is on the team next year? I do.
Yeah, he'll be here until his contract expires. Especially if he doesn't grow up, they'll just kind of be like, okay, see you later.
It'll be the end. Chance Warmack is still out. Do you think he could come in?
I don't know who that is.
I mean, Chance is still playing guard, you guys, unless something happened that I totally missed and he moved to tackle. They have more guards than they can handle right now. So it is they need a pure left tackle, in my opinion. Lucky Croc, thank you for the super chat. If you had to pick one on the roster right now, who could possibly be the next wide receiver 2?
It's Pringle. That's all I got.
Yeah, and it will be Robinson just to piss us off.
Yep, it will. I am 100% prepared for it. I'm ready to see it.
Can the Chiefs afford Reuben Foster? Monetarily, sure. In the locker room, no.
Definitely not.
Chase, thank you, though. I appreciate it. And I'm sorry to cut this off, you guys. Like I said, we're going to move this show an hour earlier starting next week because I got some family things they're going to go on. Yes, Villanueva is still available. Thank you, Mez, for reminding everybody. Algorithms are what it is on YouTube. So, hey. Stack Bundles, thank you for yours. And now I'm going to have to jump to the spreadsheet, I think, because I just slammed past everyone. Lucky Croc got you, got Chase. Michael, thank you. And for your questions, Low Lip heard Todd McShay say that Nick Bolton had good coverage skills. I have not seen it on the tape. I've done 4 of his games. I don't see it anywhere.
But I don't know, man. I feel like sometimes they're paid to just rile stuff up. I don't understand what they say half the time.
I mean, it could be he saw his best 4 games of coverage ever, and I saw his worst. I have no idea.
Possible.
Tanner, thank you for the super chat. Where do you rank Osa in the draft? He's your draft crush. Okay. He performed awesome at the Senior Bowl. Yes, agreed. Him reading goosebumps from that lineup. I like him. The question for me is evaluation and like where you can put him in terms of this lineup. So for me, I would like to see it, but it'd have to be probably between 70 and 90. I don't know.
I haven't cross-checked defensive ends yet, so I can't help you guys out here.
Holly, thank you for the super
Thank you.
chat. Don't want to hold you up, but we'll bring the question next time. Okay, well, thank you very much for the support anyway. And I know that you will. You have some great questions. And I think we are going to wrap up there, folks. Again, sorry to cut this short, but time in the spring is very difficult for me. So
as soon as the draft's over, it will be different.
Yeah, I'll probably talk 4 hours in here and you guys will get tired of me because Dan will be like, I can't listen to you anymore. I'm out. Oh, but that's going to be it for us tonight. Hit the like and the sub and the bell notification, especially if you're new. Thank you to all 500 of you that are here right now. And for every super chatter, I would love to put all your names on a screen, but it would take it'd be longer than the scroll in Star Wars. So thank you.
Yes, thank you guys so much.
I will figure out something to do. And again, if you want to check out the Matrix or the draft guide from any of the years past, they're all for sale right now for half off for you guys. Use the code RGR50 and take half right off the top. So I will have more for you, and we'll have a sneak preview here on the channel before I put it out as the PDF. And good Lord, there's a lot coming. So sleep now when I can't, because once it's over, I am going to sleep for a month.
Yes, it'll be fun. It'll be nice.
Dan, say hi to the family. Thanks for jumping in.
Will do. No problem. I hope you guys have a good night.
Have a good one, folks. We'll talk to you next time.